Okay, so why is wrestling better in some parts of the country than others? Someone said, why is wrestling so good in Pennsylvania? I think it's just tradition and culture, right? You have a lot of third and fourth generation wrestlers up there. I mean, great grandpa was a high school coach, right? Grandpa wrestled in college. It's just part of it. So you can ask yourself this: why is hockey more important and more popular in the state of Minnesota than it is Arizona? Why is track and field more popular and competitive in Arizona and Texas and Florida than it is in Vermont or North Dakota? Well, field hockey is huge in the New England states. Field hockey is not very big. They have it in Missouri, but I guarantee you, it's a lot easier to make a field hockey team in Missouri than it is New Hampshire. I'm assuming it's easier to make a varsity football team here as a quarterback in the state of Missouri than it is, some Class 6 high school football team in Texas or Florida. So I think it's just it's nothing to overthink. More people do it. It's like if you have a school with, graduating class of 32, or you have a graduating class of 978, the great big high school, it's tougher to make the varsity softball team there because there's more girls trying out. And if you're at a big school in Florida or California, I'm just assuming that it's tougher to make that softball team than it is a big school in, northern Michigan or, somewhere where it's cold. A lot of it just has to do with tradition, the demographics. The warmer states are going to probably be less into hockey than the colder states. And I think what happens is over the course of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, it just sort of just immerses itself sort of in, you could say, the culture. And then it's like, that's just what we do here. I don't know. Never really thought about it. But whenever you're fighting for college scholarships, you do start to think about it. And when you start traveling the nation, you're like, wow, why are there so many great soccer kids here from this or that state? And then I think we start to kind of wonder a bit, ultimately, I think there's just a few things at play, and it's just what they do. It's just immersed in the culture, you could say. Now, how do you compete against the Pennsylvania kids? It was like 21 maybe. 36% of all of the Division I wrestling All-Americans were from Pennsylvania. Over a third of all All-Americans in Division I wrestling were from one wrestling state. People say, well, why is that? Well, just because of what I just said. It's what they do. Now, how do you compete against those guys? Well, you just got to ramp it up with your training and partners, and you have to go toe-to-toe with those guys. And, they don't all win first place at the high school national tournaments. Someone's beating them, but a lot of it has to do with depth. There's a sense of urgency. It was a long time ago, 18, 19 years ago. I had one of my wrestlers, his sister, older, had kids. She moved to Pennsylvania. Husband got transferred. They had to try out for a Pee-wee wrestling team. There was too many kids, and they got cut. I think the second or third team, he finally made a team. There's so many kids wanting to wrestle in youth wrestling, they had to try out for it. So that's what I'm talking about. There's a sense of urgency. It's kind of like when you have a big paper due and your grade depends upon it, you're probably going to like, it forces you to focus, doesn't it? But if you have an A and the paper's not that hard and you're like, so the sense of urgency, it's like these kids train 3-4 days a week year round because they have to. There's urgency there. They're like, I don't ever thought about burnout. I think about not making the team ever. I don't think about burnout as being a quarterback who puts a lot of time into the football year round. Dude, I'm class 6 in Dallas, Texas. I'm worried about getting cut my freshman and sophomore years. I never thought about any of this. So, you have a different mindset there because these kids are in panic mode. You're in panic mode. And when you have panic and urgency, that forces that hockey player in Minnesota to say, dude, I need to lift some weights. I got to go to the camp. You want to go to the 5-day camp or the 14-day hockey camp? I want to go to the 14-day hockey camp in June and July. And I need to go to my hockey coach, and I need to lift weights, and I need to do this. So I think a lot of it is these kids are like freaking scrambling. Why? Because they have to. They have to. Whether that's right or wrong, whether it's healthy or not, if you're a high school man or woman in Texas, I coached track in Texas. We were class 6, 3rd in the state for women's track. It was so much fun. I mean, golly, these were thoroughbred humans, these girls. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I just stayed out of their way and did what Stacy told me. And they all had their club coach in Fort Worth, and I'm like, you tell me what I need to do, and I helped. I did not hurt anything because I didn't jump in there and try to be a big coach. And the girls were tremendous. And I remember OU, University of Arkansas, and there was another school, maybe UCLA, walking down the hallway together, all 3 of these big, tall, huge, big coaches. And 2 women and 1 dude, they were walking down the hallway, and they were there to recruit some of our track girls. But see, those track girls, there's urgency there. See, because if you want to run track in college, and you're in a class 6 Texas track team, you're not going to run track in college if you don't make varsity. If you get cut, when they hang those pieces of paper up, and there's like, hundreds of kids trying out for the football team down there, and there's just like one piece of paper in alphabetical order, and you go down to the P's and the name Purler is not on the roster, that means you got cut. You're not going to be a college football player if you can't even make the JV team in Texas. So, I think that's a big part of it too, is their mindset's a little bit different just because there's such a call to action. So, there's some thoughts there. I've been doing this a long time, and I think I just basically nailed exactly what's going on. But you can compete at that level. You just have to make your adjustments and go get after it. Because 65% of the All-Americans are not from Pennsylvania. 36% or something of the All-Americans are not even ranked top 50 in high school. This is a recent statistic, of the top 10 ranked men in high school wrestling their senior year, 10% are All-Americans, 90% fail to be an All-American. So you think, oh, I'm ranked top 10 in America in high school. I'm super stud. I'm going to start ordering my Olympic tickets from my mom and dad. No, dude, you haven't even made the team yet. You're not even an All-American. You haven't won 1 match in college yet. So are you good? Yes. Is it exciting? Yes. But you ain't done nothing yet, right? You just haven't. If 90% of the Division I of the top 10 ranked kids in high school, seniors, are never All-Americans, there's 90% are not. Somebody's doing that. Somebody's an All-American. It might be the 30 rank guy, it might be the 50. All right, all these stats were out years ago. It's super interesting to go through. So you know, it's a big long road, and your goal is just to be one of the last men standing as a 23-year-old man or woman, and you know, you have a fighting chance. Good luck.